off in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. An Essential Quality in fourth as they make their way to the top of the stretch. Jackie's Warrior strikes the front. Hot Rod Charlie circles up on the outside. The two of them will turn for home together, and Essential Quality is trying to get them. Here's Hot Rod Charlie, a huge long shot at 94-1, coming into the final 16th, but Essential Quality runs by. Jackie's Warrior's given way. Essential Quality's gonna do it. Essential Quality has won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Fantastic performance. Championship Road honors. I have to think we follow this performance. He's an amazing colt, dual Grade 1 winner at 2, around 2 turns. He's a fantastic colt. Hopefully, bigger and better things to come as a 3-year-old.
Well, there he is, your 2020 Eclipse champion juvenile colt at Essential Quality. Proven, aptly named indeed. And I have a very special guest to talk about this exciting colt, and that is Darren Fox of Darley. Hey, let's see here. Let's get you side by side. Hey, there we go. How are you doing?
Ren. I'm good.
Hey.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay, so the first question, how did you celebrate yesterday?
It was very subdued, like everyone else watching.
I know, right?
Watching at home. But look, we were certainly celebrated via, a large group text with all the team, and we were certainly virtually high-fiving, and kind of celebrating in spirit. But yeah, it was certainly a special night that we certainly won't forget.
Well, for those who've not met you before, can you give a little insight as to what you do?
Yeah, so I'm basically on the sales side at John Bell Farm. My title is sales manager. I work closely with the sales team. And basically our job is to procure and secure all the contracts for all our stallions to be bred to their book of mares, and ensure them, or try and put them in the best position to ensure their continued success. So it's basically a lot of, being present at the sales races, looking at pedigrees. It's kind of it's a fantastic job to do, and it's certainly one that's dynamic and always keeps us fresh and invigorated. So we're very fortunate to work where we do and in the position that we do.
Well, you're in a great position with Essential Quality. Here you have a homebred, which obviously must make it feel all the more special to have this colt representing Godolphin and the Darley stallions who stand there at John Bell Farm, which Godolphin at John Bell Farm, home of the Darley stallions. But you already have Street Sense there. You already have Nyquist there. They're the only 2 horses to have ever won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and then go on to win the Kentucky Derby. And to have a horse like this already poised to join your roster, being this homebred, like I said, it's got to feel really good.
Look, no doubt. Like I said, to what you hit on there, the fact that Street Sense and Nyquist are the only 2 to pull off that rare double just shows how hard it is for any horse to be, top of their game and top of the class at 2, yet still stay ahead of the pack and all the later maturing, 3-year-olds, and still be better than those on the first Saturday in May. It's certainly a rare achievement, and we certainly recognize that it's it's no easy feat, but we're certainly excited and dreaming and hopeful, like I'm sure a lot of other people are. But it is obviously a long time between now and the first Saturday in May. But we're certainly excited and hopeful, and like I said, we certainly think we have a nice horse, and fingers crossed.
Well, let's talk about that pedigree, because that's the thing that always comes up, right? When we start talking about a horse going 1.25 miles, this horse should have absolutely no problem. I mean, he really has the type of pedigree that not only, and this is the other thing that's pretty exciting, projecting ahead to a stallion career, he's already shown the precociousness, undefeated at 2. And he's got this pedigree by Tappet and then out of Delightful Quality by Elusive Quality. And she herself, a half-sister to Folklore, another Breeders' Cup champion, won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. But then Folklore's gone on to be really good in the stud, having become now the grandam of a Triple Crown champion in Japan in Contrail. So you've got this really great pedigree. These Tappets, obviously they can get a distance. We've seen Tappet sire Belmont winners. So how do you see this developing, and what do you see in him conformation wise? These are things that you all very are very much I would say a scholar of, because this is your business. This is how you know what you're looking at, and what a horse like this can himself not only develop into, but then later on project as a sire.
Look, what I'm going to say now is just my own observation, my own 2 cents. So again, to be taken with a pinch of salt. But I will say what struck me about him after he won the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland, just when we saw him in on the main track for that winner's circle, or for that trophy presentation. What's the first thing that struck me about him was that, wow, this is a 2-year-old. He almost looked like a 3-year-old. He was kind of, like, I will draw a slight parallel to Frosted in that Frosted was always a horse with a lot of substance, just a very strong forward horse. I always use the anecdote that when Frosted rolled off the van after the Breeders' Cup Classic, he showed up some of the stallions in the barn who had been there a few years. He certainly did not need any time to be show ready. So Frosted, obviously a horse with a lot of substance, a tremendous physical. This horse has a very strong physical too, a lot of substance. Again, as a 2-year-old, I commented that I thought he looked like a 3-year-old. He does have more length of body, maybe more of a 2-turn look. So I think that certainly bodes well to your point about him getting the classic distance. I don't think there's any, too much concern, be it from a pedigree, physical, or from a, performance standpoint. So obviously you never know until you go that final eighth, but all signs so far, I don't think it's too much of a concern.
Well, the thing also that I really think is cool about this horse is I remember speaking with Brad Cox after he had won the Breeders' Futurity, and he told me that Luis Saez got off the horse and said he has no idea what he's doing out there, and yet he ran. He put up such a big performance, and so it always stuck in my mind that, okay, well, if this horse can do that, still being green, what's he going to do when he puts it all together? And the other thing it's hard not to take note of is when he won the Breeders' Futurity, he looks so happy out there. There are horses, they love their job and they're, gritty and determined, and they're putting these other horses away. When he does it, it's almost as if he's playing a game out there and he's just having fun.
Look, definitely. And I think, he's obviously still very lightly raced. He's only had the 3 starts. So again, it just makes you extra excited and just makes you think that there is plenty more improvement left to come, which is kind of scary. So look, he's in great hands. We're just sitting back and enjoying the ride, but he's certainly been a dream so far, and he's definitely earned his place in the stallion barn. But we're not in a rush. We're patient. He can come to us whenever he's ready. We don't want to hurry him, but we'll certainly be excited to get him whenever he is ready.
Right. Here's another question for you. Jimmy Bell, who's been so instrumental, from John and Bell Farm, and then also with the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. That race was sponsored by the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, presented by TVG. But did that make it at all even a little bit more special, just knowing that was assigned to that race for Jimmy?
Look, definitely. Obviously, Jimmy is a tremendous leader, and he's just an all-round great guy, and his heart's definitely in the right place, and he certainly has a great love and affinity for aftercare, which all horsemen should. It's certainly it's all our joint responsibility. But to have Jimmy spearheading and be now president of the TAA, and for this race, to win this race, like you said, during his tenure, was certainly extra special. And to know that race is going to contribute towards, the aftercare of many thoroughbreds is, it's extra special and extra gratifying. And, it's definitely something that we all should keep to the fore.
Well, here's a question for you, for those who are just outside of it. What goes into putting a breeding together that produced essential quality?
Well, now I have to say, disclaimer, in my role, our team, we would look after or basically procure and basically, do all the contracts for all the outside mares. Obviously, the core farm staff of, Michael Banahan, Dan Pride, Jerry Duffy, Danny Mulvihill, they would, manage and mate all the Godolphin mares. So I have to say, I do not have a hand in any of the Godolphin matings. I purely look after all the outside matings that are, the interactions that we would have with our customers. So all I can say is just knowing the guys that there's always a lot of work that goes into such a mating. Obviously, the guys have such an in-depth knowledge of the dams, the grand dams, the third dams, what they have produced. They know the physical traits. They know the physical traits of the families inside out. Obviously, from Tappett's perspective, he's a stallion that we've used quite a lot and have had a lot of success with. So, the guys know well what works well with Tappett and what to send to him. And obviously, we're looking for a little bit of luck along the way. But it's certainly from listening and talking to the guys, knowing the amount of time that is spent, it's certainly it's not an overnight process. I will certainly say that, especially mating the numbers we would make. But there's great time and skill and thought put into it. But when you get a horse like Essential Quality, makes all those hours, that the guys have poured over, certainly worthwhile.
Who's in charge of naming the Godolphin runners?
That is the racing department, which is, shout out to Vicky Van Camp and Emma Brown, with certainly an assist from the John Abel team, from everyone in the office, has the opportunity to submit names. I will say it's not an easy task. I named my first horse in the length of time I've been there, who was a sense of justice, a street sense colt. So it's actually Frostery is another filly I named. So I've named 2 horses, and let's just say you can put a lot of research in and not have any luck. So obviously, we are looking for creative, clever, insightful names, but it's a team effort, and it's certainly a lot of fun, especially when you name one that goes on to hopefully be good. It's certainly an extra, puts an extra pep in your step.
Oh, you got to also love that Essential Quality. Those stallion advertisements are already, they write themselves.
Oh, exactly. And look, on a personal note, we obviously use shorthand letters when talking about stallions internally. We would not write out Essential Quality every single time. We just abbreviate it to EQ. But obviously, the first EQ for us was Elusive Quality. So the fact that acronym or shorthand has been resurrected through Essential Quality is certainly kind of neat and kind of one that we're all in. It's a small little sidebar, but it's certainly something that's pretty special.
And one of the other things that I do love about that pedigree is that for him, when again we're projecting into the future when he does go to stud, but I just love that one of the things you always notice time and time again with the Godolphin horses who then go on to be Darley stallions, those pedigrees are always so versatile. They can handle any surface, and depending on the mare, whatever distance. I could see Essential Quality, siring a great dirt horse just as easily as I could see him siring a great turf horse.
No doubt. Obviously, his broodmare sire, Elusive Quality, was very effective on both. Tappett has proven he's effective on both. You look down through the female family, obviously, Contrail in Japan, like you mentioned. So look, it's certainly, it just opens up more doors, obviously, if you're pigeonholed on one surface, that's obviously great. But if you're versatile and flexible and can be adept to both surfaces, there's greater opportunities to be successful. And that's what we're all trying to achieve with every stallion. So I think that's certainly, a positive, and one certainly that I would echo.
Definitely. Well, I actually got the opportunity to go to the barn after the big win for Essential Quality, and because we were going to shoot a follow-up interview with Brad. And the other thing I have to say about this horse, in addition to just having tremendous talent, he's got a fabulous, fabulous personality. Look at this little snuggle bug. Hello. He's so nice. This is an active 2-year-old, colt. And he's got a great temperament.
Look, that's I obviously haven't spent that much time around him, but that's certainly great to hear and great to see. And look, as you say, it's part of it's definitely part of the recipe and definitely part of what makes a horse great. If he's got a personality like that, just means he'll be able to unearth his talent and put it on full display without any impediments. And it just makes life easier for everyone.
Oh, no, that is for sure. Now, one of the things we have to talk about is, as we discussed earlier, well, I'll say this before we get to it. We're looking at the Southwest for his next start.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and from
2
so
weeks
the
time.
South, yeah, right there, Oaklawn going to be going a mile on the 16th, and that was ultimately the deciding factor for his first race back to go the mile on the 16th as opposed to go to the Risen Star.
Yeah, that's correct. I think just a slightly shorter trip coming back off a layoff. I think that's what Brad said. He preferred, and yeah, just whatever Brad suggests is certainly great by us. He's done great so far. So I think that that certainly sounds like a great plan, and we're excited to see him kick off his 3-year-old season.
And I'm sure all the reports have been good. I love the trainer. Generally, the trainer reports are doing everything right, eating up.
Yeah, look, you go online and just look at his regular work pattern. He hasn't missed a beat, like that in itself speaks volumes. So yeah, look, he's happy, sound, and healthy, and you're just can't wait for the next 2 weeks to pass and just see him, see him step out. And obviously, it's going to be a strong field. If some of the horses in the wings that they say are going to line up do in fact line up, it's definitely going to be a a serious race. So it certainly won't be easy, but we're definitely excited and can't wait.
I have to ask, how often do you hear from Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum regarding, how these horses are doing? He's wanted this Derby winner. So,
yeah, like obviously personally, I would not have that much interaction with him. Obviously, Jimmy Bell, our president, and Dan Pride, our CEO, would have definitely more interaction. But yeah, obviously, if this is a colt that is looking like it can take us to the first Saturday in May, that's been one of Sheikh Mohammed's, well publicized dreams,
yes.
For so long. So, look, anytime a horse, comes along that looks like he has that kind of potential, everyone kind of, gets all fired up, and
Yeah.
He's certainly a horse that has everyone fired up. That's for sure.
Well, isn't that something that you can just find yourself at different levels throughout. I mean, just different. Okay, you've got the racing fan, and then you can go all the way up to being a sheikh, right? And you maybe have that same ambition of being being involved in the first Saturday of May. It's that storied. It's that, I mean, that race represents something that cannot really truly be defined. And it's an experience that obviously is so elusive that to achieve it is really, I got to imagine, surreal.
Oh, there's no doubt. Look, there is no doubt. It's funny. When you were talking there, you were just reminding me. I was thinking back to Michael Lund Peterson's just interview on the accepting his Eclipse award for Gamine, and just the expression on his face. And he was describing about being a boy at his local track in Norway or Sweden. I can't remember where he said he was from. But just again, and that's the same story for everyone. Everyone started as a kid, by the rail, watching a horse and having a dream. And, everyone is the exact same, whether you're, betting $2 or whether you're the owner. Like, everyone has that same dream. And there's such that common story, that common thread that connects us all. And at the center of that is the love and appreciation of the horse. So it's a common story, but it always hits home or resonates really strong when someone who's been hugely successful is just a kid from somewhere who had a dream, as an 8-year-old or however old they were, watching a horse with their grandparent or their parents. So again, it's always really powerful to hear those personal anecdotes, and reminds us that we all are coming at it from the same perspective.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had was going to the Dubai World Cup. It was the year that California Chrome won. And I grew up in racing. I'd never, again, experienced anything like it, because it was a true and total celebration and elevation of the horse. I mean, from the fireworks to the performances to everything, it was like this big thank you to our equine athletes. And I remember on the way back, because obviously there's that long flight, international flight, I had all these papers with me from Emirates that were recounting the race. And in one of the publications was this write-up that Sheikh Mo had done. And it was basically a love letter to the horse and the culture that the Emiratis have with them. And how, I believe there was a story in there about a horse that he, as a boy, rehabbed, and they'd race the horses just, casually, with each other, and just the pride that they take in that relationship and how ancient it is.
Look, there's no doubt. I think I remember reading the same story about racing horses on the beach as your boys.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, obviously anyone who's worked around horses, and Sheikh Mohammed is no different. You took care, watered hay, and fed your horse before you took care of yourself, and he was certainly no different. And I think growing up, he certainly has that exposure, that connection. He is an avid horseman. Obviously, he's ridden in a lot of endurance races,
And his
and I
sons.
still. And his sons too, and I still think he's one of the few people that is able to. I'm probably getting my phraseology wrong, but is able to, on a trained horse, make them lie down and shoot a rifle from a recumbent horse. Basically, he's one of those rare skills that
Wow.
he's still able to do. So look, there's no doubt he is an extremely talented horseman, and that you just see that in everything about him. His every endeavor, you can just tell that there is an innate love for the animal, and we're all very lucky to be in that bubble and to be working for him as a result of that passion.
Well, the other reason why I loved it so much is I personally, I'm half Iraqi. So the closest, obviously with it being war torn, sadly, over there in the Middle East, the closest I could kind of get to my culture was in Dubai, where I would feel safe also. So it was so profound to me to be in that atmosphere, to see this again, this relationship and respect given to these horses who have given us everything historically. I mean, when I look back at the ancient bas reliefs from my own culture, and you see these beautiful horses in array of the braided hair and the different ways that they would decorate them as they would go, even just to hunt. That love in culture is just been perpetuated century after century, and we've always had horse racing. It's just the way that we've enjoyed horse racing has changed as the world has turned. One of the things that I thought was so also profound about the relationship with the horse, and I really thought about this in great depth as we were, thrust into this isolation of COVID, was the fact that our racing industry was still able to carry on, because the horses, they still need to eat, they still need to get their exercise, they still need to go out there. And it just kind of, it really struck me from the perspective of, wow, here we become this modern world, and so many people have gotten out of touch. They don't even know anything about horses because the cars replaced the horse. Phones have replaced the need to communicate by traveling. Just there's just not that husbandry anymore and relationship with equines. But here they were, and they were one of the only industries that was still going. And I just found that incredibly moving, because when you really think about it, it hasn't been that long since everybody needed a horse.
No, definitely. And look, I think, as as you say, people grow up in cities and maybe for generations are slightly removed from agriculture. The people maybe haven't had the opportunity to have that one-on-one connection with animals or with the horse in itself. And as we all know, there's something alluring. There's something that just draws you in. They're obviously a special animal, not unlike many others. So anyone who's been around or has smelled a horse or has touched one, and look, they do teach you great respect and humility, and you have to ask a horse, you have to read their cues. It teaches a lot of life lessons. So we definitely, as you say, have moved away from obviously horses in a lot of areas, but look, I think there's just something so alluring about them that while we can, I think everyone, I think horse racing will continue just because of the sheer attraction of the animal itself.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing is just what's gone into the thoroughbred breed in particular. It's very much, when you think about, for example, Arabians, they love the Arabians so much in Bedouin culture. For example, there's anecdotes historically where even if during a tribal war, if one of the mares was captured, they would go and still want to give the history of that mare to the person who stole it, because it was so important to keep the line pure. They cared about it that much. And there's also stories about the Crusades and Saladin. giving, horses as a sign of respect to King Arthur, or it's King Richard, the Lionheart. So, there's just this thing about horses, as we're saying. And so that's why, when we think about breeding operations, in particular one named after, where you're incorporating names of the 3 foundation sires, the Darley Arabian, the Godolphin Arabian, obviously the other one, the Byerly Turk. Is there a Byerly Turk going to be coming in any facet? That could be the,
No, I don't know. I think that line is pretty much pretty much died out. But yeah, it's like I say, it's no coincidence that the racing and breeding arms are named after 2 of the 3 founding Arabians. So yeah, that's obviously a rich, proud history and connection that Sheikh Mohammed and that everyone in Dubai has to the thoroughbred. Is the origination of the breed is started with 3 with the 2 Darley Arabians. So
yes.
it's certainly a proud historical fact that is something that they cherish.
Yeah, and that's why, I brought up that whole culture with the Arabian horses that made them so purebred, and for these different traits that we now see them echoed. I mean, yes, it's removed now, but echoed through into our own thoroughbred breed. And now as we're talking about echoing, obviously we breed for certain traits, and we breed hoping to see things expressed with consistency. And there you've got Nyquist, who just stood his freshman season his freshman crop debuted last season. Did you have obviously you hoped, but did you have any idea of just how successful he was going to be? Because it was so impressive. You've got a Breeders' Cup, now Eclipse champion, 2-year-old filly in Vequist representing him. But she's not the only one that went out there and just wowed us in 2020.
No, look, he had 2 Grade 1 winners before October. He's had 4 Grade 1 horses. Obviously, you mentioned Vequist. She won the spin, broke her maiden in the spin away. Like, how about that? We had Lady Lily in 3rd. Did run 2nd in the Frisette after getting boxed in. Couldn't make her move when she wanted, but then obviously got back on top again in the Breeders' Cup, which was obviously the championship race. So just a hugely exciting filly. Then obviously Gretzky the Great on turf up in Canada in the Summer Stakes. And then, of course, Nasruddin, she, of course, ran 3rd in the Starlet. So look, yeah, to have 4 Grade 1 horses, 2 Grade 1 winners in his first crop, you certainly would have hoped. I don't know that you could have expected this. So, yeah, we're certainly as wowed as everyone else. We were certainly hopeful given how the market responded to him in each of his first 4 years. It's rare that a stallion can stand at their full fee right through their first 4 years and book full. He was pretty much our first stallion to book full every year. Even in year 4, he bred 159 mares, which is our absolute upper limit, all at full fee. So there's not many stallions that can do that in their 4th year. So that definitely told us that, Duncan Moore Sireline, obviously Nyquist himself, he captured a lot of people's imagination, as an unbeaten champion 2-year-old that stayed undefeated through the Derby. Seattle Slew in 77 was the last horse to achieve that. So it just tells you right there what a rare accomplishment. And, that body of work through the Derby did set off some pretty significant milestones that you have to go back decades. So look, it's all of the above. It's the physical, it's how he raced, it's what he did, it's the sire line, it's everything. It was like, the perfect recipe. And the market certainly has responded at every step of the way. So we're very thankful that he has responded has responded to breeders' faith in him, and certainly looks like he's kicking off 2021 like he ended 2020. So we're excited.
Well, you gotta love it. Again, you mentioned his sire, Uncle Mo, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Champion, also having won it in 2010. But let's take a look back at the 2015 Breeders' Cup Juvenile featuring Nyquist.
And they're off in the Ascension Jet Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Exaggerator broke alertly. Unbridled Outlaw there. Riker kicking in toward the inside. Cockton loaded up close in the opening strides as well. Riker has the early lead. Unbridled Outlaw will go 2nd. And then Conquest Big E 3rd toward the inside. Cockton loaded 4th toward the outside. Rallis is in 5th. Exaggerator quick to get to the rail. Saving Ground in 6th. Isotherm 3 wide in 7th. Nyquist 4 wide in 8th. Sighting Spring goes in 9th. Greenpoint Crusader saved ground to the inside. But Swipe goes 11th, Brody's Cause 12th, Waterloo Bridge 13th, and Rated R Superstar 14th and last, 23 and 2. The time for the opening quarter. Riker is the leader, 3 parts of a length. Unbridled Outlaw goes second. Exaggerator looks for room toward the inside. He's got Conquest Big E moving up to his outside. That one's in third. Exaggerator fourth. Cocked and Loaded fifth up on the far outside. And that trio all within a length and a half of the lead. Siding Spring is next, then Rallis, followed by Nyquist on the far outside, who's 5 from the front, 47 and 3/5 seconds for the first half mile. Isotherm has 7 to make up, along with Swipe. Now Greenpoint Crusader and Brody's Cause are each running 10 lengths off the lead, trying to thread their way through traffic, and they're all chasing Riker midway on the far turn. Cocked and Loaded's making his move now. Cocked and Loaded moves up to the outside to challenge Riker for the lead as they come by the quarter pole. Unbridled Outlaw third. Nyquist is his fourth. Exaggerator fifth. Conquest Big E sixth. Swipe is a wide seventh off the far turn. Riker the leader. Cocked and Loaded. Nyquist tries to join them. Swipe out in the center of the track. Exaggerator back toward the inside. Nyquist keeps striding forward in the final furlong. He has taken the lead. Swipe moves up behind him toward the outside. Late run from Brody's Cause, but still fifth. It's Nyquist with the lead. Nyquist in front, chased by Swipe. Nyquist to take it. Swipe was home second. Brody's Cause.
So there he is. And of course, as we know, he went on to develop and stay undefeated and become just the second horse to ever do the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Kentucky Derby double. And the other horse, fittingly, Street Sense, who stands there at John Bell Farm, home of the Darley Stallions. Well, Godolphin, I always have to say it because it's that long intro. It's Godolphin at John Bell Farm, home of the Darley Stallions.
There you go. It's a mouthful. Yes, you got it.
Well, I got it. But when was Nyquist the breeding rights secured?
So it was during his 2-year-old year. Basically, the handshake deal was done on Alcibiades Day.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Redham had an Uncle Mo filly who actually won the Alcibiades that year. Gomo, I think it was, Gomo. And basically, so heading into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, his breeding rights were secured. So
how does one know like when to pull that trigger?
Look, it's
a gamble.
it is. There's no doubt. But look, it's an extremely competitive market out there. You know, people are having, stallion farmers are making moves and having to make moves on horses earlier and earlier. And obviously, there's a lot of risk associated. But we couldn't have dreamed that the Nyquist situation would have worked out as well as it did. But very thankful and brought back good memories watching that replay. That's for sure.
Yeah. It is so cool. And as we were talking about, just this great freshman crop he put out, headed up by, of course, Vequist, our Eclipse champion 2-year-old filly and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies champ as well. The thing that I remember running up to you after Essential Quality had won, and we were discussing the horses, and I said, because, obviously I know your pedigrees inside and out. I said, I've noticed, from the handicapping perspective, the Nyquist over anything that has to do with AP Indy is just like winning graded stakes. So just to put that in perspective for those of you who are watching, Vequist out of a Mineshaft mare, Mineshaft 2003's Horse of the Year by AP Indy. Gretzky the Great. Oh, he's out of a Bernardini mare. Bernardini stands there at a, I always want to do the whole long thing now. Okay. Godolphin at John Bell, home of the Darley Stallions.
Yes.
But he stands there with you, Bernardini, 2006's Eclipse champion, 3-year-old son of AP Indy. You mentioned Nasruddin. She's out of a Sky Mesa mare, Sky Mesa by Pulpit by AP Indy. And Lady Lily, she's out of a Pulpit mare. So, I mean, you gotta be pushing this, Nick, I'm sure.
Yeah, look, early doors, you certainly can't deny the success he's had with the AP Indy Star line. Look, I'm watching all these really nice maiden winners that are coming through. Wipe the Slate. T Merchants won impressive last year. The Great one. Witzel.
The Great one, yes.
Yeah, so you're seeing some of those Star lines are Mr. Greeley. Sensational, Grand Slam. I think with a little more real estate, you will see more of a balanced group of broodmare sires represented. But it's certainly hard to miss the affinity that he's shown thus far with the AP Indy, sire line.
No, it was funny because I also handicapped Tampa, and I don't know how I missed this, and I was kicking myself after the fact. There was a horse in that was by Nyquist, and I don't know. It was a first time starter. I missed putting the horse up as a top pick or anything, and I went back and I looked, and the second dam was by APN. I was like,
Was that,
oh, okay, well,
was that Witzel? Was that Witzel?
I think it is. Yes, it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
yeah, the
And I'm just
grandstand.
like, how did I miss that? But it's obviously, one of those things where, yeah, he's going to have success with different broodmares, of course, but it was just the frequency at which you were seeing it was something out of the ordinary that I hadn't personally noticed myself in the past.
Yeah, again, it's it's one of those things that you just like you say you can't miss, especially when they're high profile grade
Yeah.
one winners. That everyone is looking for, the next angle or what's unfolding. But some of this stuff is unfolding in real time, and you're going off, relatively speaking, such little real estate, in regards to a stallion's careers, or career. And I think, look, Uncle Mo's strengths, and one of the sire line's strengths, is how receptive they are to pretty much every sire line, and how versatile Uncle Mo has been with virtually every sire line. So that's just one of the strengths with that line, is that not too much gets in the way when you're looking at mares. You can pretty much take any broodmare sire line, and there's no close doubling up, or very very rare anyway, that or something that would impede a mating. So it's definitely strengths.
I would also, can I hear you? Can you hear?
Sorry, just a
There
call
you are. No, I hear you. Oh, yeah,
call
that
coming.
happens sometimes. And
Yeah.
so the other thing I've noticed with him is, like his sire, Uncle Mo, he seems to be prepotent in terms of stamping his gut. They look just like him.
Yeah, like I've said this a few times, I would say roughly guesstimating, I feel like 80% of his progeny are solid bay horses like he is. They're so well made, straightforward. They're nice, correct, framey horses with good minds. Again, like I think I've said this before, but what's exciting about them is, whether you see them at a weanling or a yearling, they're never the finished article. They always just look like, gosh, I can't wait to see this horse in another few months or another 6 months, because you can just tell they have so much more improvement left in them. Like, they're nice now, but you
Yeah.
can just tell when they finish. And even looking at Vequist, like on the track before the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, such a tall, big, leggy filly. I was like, man, that filly's got so much scope and improvement. When she fills into herself and keeps developing, like, there is more to come. And I think that's kind of synonymous with a lot of his progeny, is that they're lovely now, but you can tell they are not the finished article, and there's more improvement to come, which makes it extra exciting. So that's just the type of horses that they are, and they definitely are horses that will peak as 3-year-olds, both physically and performance wise.
Well, he's certainly exciting. You just mentioned Bequist and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies. So let's go ahead and take a look back at her score there, because we would be remiss not to, right? Share the screen, share the audio, and let's watch Bequist winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies.
They're off in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies. Vequist and Day out of the office. These two come the opening strides. Princess Noor is there toward the outside. Then Simply Ravishing is next, followed by Thoughtfully Between Horses, Girl Daddy on the outside, and Crazy Beautiful at the back as the field moves into the first turn. Day out of the office, the leader. Day out of the office, clear with the lead, gets over toward the inside, leads at a length. Princess Noor, second ahead, just to the outside of Vequist, who's third by a length. Girl Daddy, fourth and neck to the outside of Simply Ravishing, who's fifth in between horses. Crazy Beautiful is in sixth, and Thoughtfully is shuffled out to last. 23.3 seconds, the time for that opening quarter. Day out of the office, the leader up the backstretch at Keeneland in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies. On top by a length. Princess Noor, second on the outside by a half length. Vequist is third, 3/4 of a length. Girl Daddy, fourth up on the outside. Simply Ravishing, fifth in between horses, just over 3 lengths from the front. Crazy Beautiful, Thoughtfully at the back. 47.12 seconds the time for the opening quarter. Day out of the office, the leader by a length onto the far turn. Princess Noor is second. And then Girl Daddy, who moves into contention, a closer third now up on the outside, third by half length. Vequist in fourth, they're at the quarter pole. Simply Ravishing is fifth, and she is still running some 6 lengths from the front to the top of the short stretch. Day out of the office, opening up on a 3-length lead as they turn for home. Vequist up the inside. Princess Noor is still there on the outside. Girl Daddy still far back with Simply Ravishing. Vequist is coming up the rail. Here's Vequist up the inside. Now to challenge Day out of the office, and Vequist just keeps on running. Vequist, Joel Rosario to win.
Okay, what guts from a 2-year-old filly to go up the rail like that?
No doubt. Look, she's definitely a special filly, a worthy Eclipse champion, and you know, to have a filly like that in your sire's first crop, again, is stuff of dreams. And we just like to point out and give a shout out to her breeder Tom McGrath.
I was going to do that. Yes. Go ahead. Go for it.
So yeah, so he has obviously Tom is a great guy. Thank you, Tom. But he has a 2-year-old half sister from the first Northern Hemisphere crop of a Stern, which again, for a Stern to get a half sister to an Eclipse champion in his first crop is certainly huge. And by all accounts, I hear she's a extremely good looking filly that they're excited about. So I don't know if lightning can strike twice, but we're certainly hoping.
Well, I saw a Stern there at the farm, and he's so pretty, and he really makes his presence known. The thing with Vequist, and you mentioned Tom, is I spoke with him after the race, and the humbleness of this man. And just being taken aback by the whole thing, not only having now bred a Breeders' Cup champion, but he was so humbled that he was able to be there, given what was going on with COVID, and that there were so many people who couldn't, be in attendance, and even beyond that, and just in the scope of the world, and what people are going through. And here he got to enjoy something so special. And he was tremendously thankful for it. There was no bit of taking anything for granted. And the other thing I remember him saying is he wanted to give thanks also to the Fred Seitz of Brookdale Farm for really coming up with this mating for Vero, his dam. And so the whole thing just came together. And I was kind of touched by that also, because I'm really good friends with Fred's daughter, Anna Seitz. So Cianello, I got to give shout out to Evan, the husband, too. But yeah, I mean, it was just, it kind of felt like here you've got this big, huge world, and it all came down to this just small, intimate moment of this man who's just achieved something that so many would love to do, basking in that moment, not taking it for granted. And he's connected to somebody that I love dearly. So I just thought it was just incredibly moving.
No, very special, and as you rightly point out, to give credit to Fred Seitz, who booked the season and was instrumental in the mating, and obviously the Seitz family and Brookdale Farm are no strangers to success. Going back to deputy minister,
yes,
one of the breed shaping stallions of our time. So look, they're obviously great people, absolute a pleasure to deal with. And look, you just couldn't be more happier. And for Tom to still own the mare, have bred Vequist, still be an owner, have the 2-year-old half sister, like that's kind of, for any older breeder, that's the pinnacle. That's it. Like to still own and have all the relations, mother, the dam and siblings, like that rarely happens. So again,
is she full to Nyquist again, or is she booked to him again?
She's booked back.
Yeah, I thought I heard.
Yeah,
I thought. I don't think we're like revealing anything.
We're not. No.
Okay.
I don't. It's not a secret. I don't think anyone would mind us.
And who wouldn't do that? That's just common sense, right? Let's
exactly.
Go back to the well.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's so exciting. And it's nice to see people be able to not only achieve such heights, but want to bring others along and share in that. What was it like for you? I mean, I know that you spend a lot of time, because part of your job, like you were saying before, is you talk to people, you have to get out there, you have to, I basically, I don't mean to make it like a big sell or anything, but you're basically putting yourself in position to let people know what's going on there at the farm, and why, if they have a mare that fits your stallions, why they should go to you. So you're at the track a lot. What has this been like for you doing your job, given what happened in 2020 with COVID?
Obviously, you were just more disconnected. There wasn't as much, like, obviously your travel schedule was basically hit on pause. You just weren't having those one-on-one, face-to-face interactions with your clients and people in the industry that you're just grown accustomed to. And we all know, like, the first yearling sale of the year, when it's been a few months since you've seen people, it's like catching up with old friends again. And okay, what have you been up to? Or it's always great, and it's always nice because collectively we spend so much time together on the circuit, as it were, between sales and racing. So it is definitely a traveling community. There's no doubt about it. So you definitely felt a disconnect from that, but you just used email, calls, text, just to try and stay in touch as best you could, and stay on top of the scoop, getting the information of where's the next good horse coming from, or such and such. That's obviously part of the excitement, is trying to find out where the next good horse is coming from. But we certainly relied on other methods of communication to try and get those nuggets.
Yeah, no, definitely. And obviously you guys have your mainstays there at the farm regarding that Darley stallion roster. Let's check out this picture here. This is Street Sense. This is one, again, of the there's only 2 horses to have ever won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and the Kentucky Derby. He was the first to do it. And he's still going strong. And we got to talk about one of his most beloved sons currently in racing, and that's got to be Maxfield. Maxfield really captured our imaginations. I'm going to actually show this race, and then we'll get into talking about, but he really captured our imagination in this race, the 2019 Claiborne Breeders' Futurity. Watch this move, everybody, because you do not see this often. This is incredible, and it still takes my breath away. I'm going to show it now. I kind of love that all the replays I've shown have been at Keeneland. Here we go.
Now Gouverneur Morris backs out. Back into line he goes at the post. And they're off. Breeders' Futurity. And there goes Life on the Road along with Tappy outside. Awkward move there for Tappet to win into the first turn. Started to duck out a lane, then moved back down toward the inside, tossing his head, still hasn't relaxed. American Butterfly, meantime, has moved by for the lead by a length and a half. Life on the Road second ahead. Tappet to win. Tries to relax down toward the inside. Still hard held there in third and wrestled back. Now starts to move up. He wants to go on between horses. Can't find the running room just yet. Now there he goes. Tappet to win. Second, draws up alongside the leader. Further back, King Theo moves up the rail into fourth. By Your Side is in fifth. Gouverneur Morris is in sixth position. Stays toward the outside, just over 5 lengths off the lead. Enforceable, Ajaweet, Maxfield, and January 1 to complete the pack. 24.01 at the quarter. 47.78 seconds the time for the first half mile. American Butterfly, the leader. American Butterfly by a length and a half. Tappet to win. Goes second. Life on the Road. Then Gouverneur Morris. And Gouverneur Morris now moving up on the outside from fourth to third to second by a head. And now alongside the leader, Gouverneur Morris. Enforceable and Maxfield both moving behind that one at the quarter pole. Gouverneur Morris has taken the lead from American Butterfly. Here's Maxfield moving up on the outside to challenge Gouverneur Morris off the far turn. And Maxfield strides forward and takes the lead by a length and a half. 2 lengths in the final furlong. Gouverneur Morris second, Enforceable third. The rest are far back. Maxfield, a breathtaking run at the top of the stretch. It's clear by 6. Maxfield to win the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity for Jose Ortiz.
Okay, the thing that's so insane about that is not like those horses up front were cooking themselves. He closed over them like a slingshot anyway and just blew them out. Blew the doors off.
Incredible. Being from Ireland and calling myself European, growing up watching a Razi Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Yeah,
it's just one of those races that I've watched and replay countless
and a Razi-like
times.
move.
And a Razi-like move, given the fact that he came from Europe. So I heard someone describe it, or read someone describe it, and I thought it hit the nail on the head. Like, that resonated so hard. Wasn't a Razi-like move, and just again get chills watching it. Is just spoken to a lot of shrewd people in the industry, and they put that down as the best performance by a 2-year-old that year. So I certainly wouldn't disagree, and we're just very thankful,
Were you there
that he's in our colours.
Oh yeah. Were you there at the track that day?
No, I wasn't there that day.
Well, I'm sure your phone started ringing. I mean, you were watching, but I'm sure your phone must have just been going nuts.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. I can't remember where I was watching. I think I was out of town with family. But yeah, I obviously watched it live, and yeah, I was just blown away. So,
well, I happened to. Well, this is another horse with a great personality. I happened to hang out with him there at Keeneland. This was not too long after the race during the fall Keeneland meet. And I mean, look at that with Brendan Walsh. How sweet is that? And the thing that also made the story so special is that, Brendan was talking about how he'd been riding horses back in the day for the operation, and now to be a trainer and with a horse of this caliber, just, unreal. But that's also what made it so sad, because I still remember I was at the breakfast marquee when I heard the news come over the speakers that he was out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and it just felt like all the air got sucked out of the room for a minute. Can you talk about that just for a minute? Just because we know there's a happy, things get happy again with the story.
Yeah, look, it's just a perfect example of this is horses. Everyone knows like that it can be the morning of a race. Like how many heartbreaking stories of horse the morning of the Derby, that just take a bad step or are slightly off, and the horse always has to come first. That's the reality. So look, it was a gut wrench, I'm sure, especially for no less than for no one more than Brendan. But he's a super guy, great trainer, and just root for him because he for the job he does. So look, he certainly did the right thing, but I'm sure it wasn't even a decision in his mind. It just had to happen, and it's tough, but as long as the horse is happy and healthy and can move forward, that's the attitude you have to have, is just look on to the next day, and there will be another day, and that's really it,
Absolutely. That's the thing with Brendan. He always has esteemed this horse to such a degree that he didn't think it mattered for this horse to be defined by any one race. This is a horse who can have a career. So we're going to protect the career and not worry about if we have to miss this or whatever. This horse also is another example of just, he is absolutely stunning. And to, again, be a product of the Darley Stallions himself, a son of Street Sense, and then out of a Bernardini mare. And his pedigree is absolutely insanely good. Insanely good. He's out of a 3/4 sister to Sky Mesa. You've got so many, black type horses in there, grade 1, group 1. You have, stallions in there that have gone on to sire big names. Like, it's incredible. You've got to be super stoked for when that time does come. You probably already know, oh my gosh, I'm going to market this horse and get so many mares.
Well, look, he is, just to talk, the pedigree obviously, his dam is a 3 parts of Sky Mesa. You have his second dam, La Affirmed, is the dam of Bernstein. So it's a real stallions pedigree with some loaded proven stallions in there, which is obviously just a huge for an unproven stallion to have that, loaded behind him before he even retires the stud. But physically he is similar to Street Sense in terms of his size and stature. He'd be very similar size to Street Sense. But being out of a Bernardini mare, I don't mind saying he is, more quality than his sire, is a better looking model than his sire. And just is a great blend of Street Sense and Bernardini. Like, you look at him first and you go, wow, that's a Street Sense. But then when you take a closer look, you just see such a good looking horse. He has so much quality. So he's the horse, when people come to see him, you just keep your mouth shut and just let people take him in, and he does the talk. He does the talking for you. So again, whenever that day is, we'll certainly be excited to welcome him to the Stallion Barn, but not just yet.
Not just yet. And we're going to talk about that. So in terms of, he's still undefeated. He'd obviously won his maiden special weight before the Claiborne Breeders' Maturity. He won the Matt Win Stakes. And then he just on December 19th won the Tenacious Stakes. What do we have to look forward to? I know there's talk of potentially the $20 million Saudi Cup, but are we thinking also maybe Dubai World Cup? I know the Mine Shaft is another race that's being considered for him.
Yeah, I think the Mine Shaft is likely the next target. I don't think the Saudi Cup is on the radar. I believe he is nominated to the Dubai World Cup, but
How
no
cool would that
no
be? Really?
no decision has been made there. Yeah, look, there's no doubt that would be extra special. But look, again, at the end of the day, the decision always reflects on the horse, and the horse comes
Yeah.
first. So I'm clearly not involved in that decision making process. I find out like
It's
everyone else.
okay.
But
Well, and what would you like? Can you say what you personally would like to see?
not really my place to
No,
say
okay.
what I would or wouldn't like.
Well, I can say it. I would love to see him win Dubai because I mean that would be so like it's the home team, right?
Oh, it is. No, there's no doubt. It would. But yeah, for sure. And again, I'm looking at it from a stallion's perspective too.
Yeah.
Obviously, my wish for him is to win as many Grade Ones here on home soil, that he can. So, look, I think he's an extremely talented horse who, we just haven't seen the best of yet, and that's kind of what's scary about him. So, he's just he certainly is a horse that keeps you dreaming, and yeah, we're just excited to see his next race and see where he goes from there.
Well, you were just mentioning again about Bernardini. Bernardini, what a cool horse he was, and how he flashed onto the scene, in putting in these big performances. And I mean, if it weren't for Invasor, he could have been a Breeders' Cup Classic champion, just like his sire, AP Indy. He's one of the things I remember about the very first time I ever met Bernardini in person is that, at least with me, I don't know on the day to day, but he was like a big cuddle bear, very sweet natured. And I really was struck by just, he's so comfortable in himself. He was almost like a big bear. And, just what we've been seeing from him in terms of now this, not only has it been a great sire, but now we're seeing like this broodmare sire angle where you've got Maxfield, Catholic Boy, Serengeti Empress. I mean, I think there's like something like 10 Grade 1 winners out of Bernardini mares.
Actually, Colonel Liam was the 11th in the
Make it
Pegasus
11,
turf.
yes. Yes, make it 11.
And it's so funny. Last year, yeah. Every time a client or someone would ask us how many horse stakes winners has Bernardini got as a broodmare sire, you had to update that stat every Monday morning, because no doubt it had changed over the weekend, and what you thought was the number was wrong. So
Oh my gosh.
that's it's just yeah. Again, at his age, he's the foremost broodmare sire in the world. So quite a statement. But look, Bernardini, I was saying to someone during a stallion show recently that, when a stallion gets to his age, you obviously, the pertinent information is what they've achieved on the track. That's the most recent stakes winner, the most recent Grade 1 winner. What's the next 2-year-old that's coming down the line? That's what moves the needle. That's what excites people. And when you get to his age, I was doing something and I went down a rabbit hole of just re-watching his race replays recently. And you kind of forget just the sheer absolute dominance that he absolutely, like, barely came out of a canter with a statuesque, well-positioned jockey, and him just, annihilating Grade 1 competition. So, just to remember how, good a racehorse he was is certainly, one point. But he certainly has a lot of class and presence above any stallion I've been around. Like, he just has, we would frequently take him out and he would form a statue-like pose, get a distant look in his eye, like he was looking at something in the distance, and just would not move for 2 minutes at a time. Like, he'd give you the chills or put the hairs on the back of your neck. Like, just so much class, so much presence. He'd almost talk to you with a look. And that's the way he was. He was a horse who was never on the vet list. Even when he was a homebred, obviously, from his time as a foal through a yearling, through being with Tom Albatrani. He was just a special horse who never put a foot wrong and did everything right. And he's still the same way today in the breeding shed. He is the consummate professional. So again, Bernardini's that dream horse to be around. Just that he makes life so easy. And we're just very fortunate to have him.
Well, it's so funny then, because I have like a vintage coffee mug now, because my friend Mark Taylor from Taylor Made Farm, he knows I love my pedigrees. So he had sent like a really very kind little gift package that they were sending out to other buyers to promote Paris Bikini. And it has on the back of it, about her a connection to Bernardini and 10 Grade 1, broodmare sire of 10 Grade 1 winners. And so when I have my coffee in the morning, I'm like, I like looking at that cup, because I just think it's so cute. But yeah, now it's outdated. Gotta get the Sharpie out, put an 11 on there.
Get the Sharpie out, exactly. So
Exactly. So you were talking about, a horse that gives you chills like Bernardini because, the class that he exudes. Well, a horse that seems timeless and never seems to age is this guy, Medaglia d'Oro. My gosh. I gotta give a shout out to one of his greatest progeny. That's Rachel Alexandra the Great. 15 years old today. And I mean, her sire, just what an incredible, remarkable specimen he is, and just the talent he's imparted to his progeny, like her, like Songbird. What can you say about Medaglia d'Oro and how he's doing? Because right now, I mean, obviously, Street Cry passed away many years ago. Medaglia d'Oro is the patriarch there, right?
no doubt. It's funny you mentioned Rachel Alexandra. Personal anecdote. She's probably one of my favorite horse, not my favorite horse of all time. Like her race
I was
career.
going to ask you. I was going to say, because you guys have Street Cry and Medaglia d'Oro. Which team? Which team?
Exactly. So look, Rachel, obviously what she achieved as a 3-year-old filly, in the Oaks by 20 lengths, take the Preakness, and then against older males in the Woodward, like you don't see 3-year-old fillies do that. So I'll give a shout out to my good friend and ex-colleague, Andy Williams. Our desks used to be beside each other, and he was definitely in the Zenyatta camp. He was as passionate about Zenyatta as I was about Rachel, and we would get into heated debates where maybe a pencil or a stapler could end up being thrown because we were arguing that one was better than the other. And I guess when we would simmer down and take a step back, it was a great antidote and a great, for the industry that there was such passion around who was the best horse that ultimately they never raced. But again, it was just when you said her name, I just got a flashback at that story. But look, Medaglia is just such a special horse. He's now 22 years of age. He looks fantastic. His fertility, I think his last 3 years were 90%, 89, and 88%. Which for any stallion is great. Never mind the stallion of his age. And look, he just had his 26th Grade 1 winner, which was Golden 60. So Golden 60 won the Longines Hong Kong Mile. He beat 15 international Grade 1 winners. He's on a streak,
isn't he?
He just came back and won the Grade 1 Stewards Cup over the weekend again. So he won 15 for 16 lifetime.
Wow.
He is rated 129 on time form, which is the equal of Medaglia d'Oro, and the only progeny of Medaglia d'Oro that is rated higher is Rachel Alexandra. So he is the second best Medaglia d'Oro ever. Wow. So even though it's in Hong Kong, it's a different racing jurisdiction, his turn of foot when he turns from home is absolutely electric. He can be drawn fan 7 wide at the back of the pack, and he just drops the hammer, and it is, again, you just know he's going to get there, but halfway up the straight, you go like, I don't know how he's going to do it, but he always does. It's jaw dropping. So look, and then of course on the home front, we have a nice colt again for Brendan Prevalence, who debuted over the weekend at Gulfstream, who's pretty jaw dropping performance to my eyes. So look, obviously he's just broke his maiden. He's just had the one start, but that's a horse who I watched it and my eyes were popping out of my head. So certainly very, very excited about him. But look, he is just such an exceptional stallion. He was the leading sire in America last year with a $484,000 average. His current crop of 2-year-olds are out of his best ever bred book and mares. So he's just a horse who he's achieved so much, but he's got so much more coming through as well. That the story isn't over yet by any means. Let me tell you.
That's exciting. It really and truly is. And one of the things I'm struck by every time, I do one of these shows is that the people who work, in these various facets of the industry, the one thing that they all have in common is at the end of the day, they're a huge fan. They're a huge fan of the horses. I mean, to listen to you speak about these horses, I mean, you could be, you don't necessarily work for Darley. You could be, the fan who just tunes in to watch their favorite horse run. I mean, it doesn't, that's the thing that's just so beautiful about these horses. And I love following their stories. And the thing in particular, and why I love the breeding side of it so much, is because to see these horses generation after generation, they continue the story on.
Yeah, like, from an outsider looking in, you might think that, well, you just do the same thing every year, but that's not the case. Like, on a personal level, you get to know your clients who become friends better and better year on year. That makes the job so much more enjoyable, so much easier. And then from the equine side, like you say, to watch Nyquist as a 2-year-old himself now to watching his progeny run. And invariably
Yeah.
we go to the sales and look at all their progeny. Sometimes we've seen them a few times at our clients' farms. You might have seen these horses 5 or 6, 7 times before they go to the races. You feel like you are like a micro 1% owner in them because
Yeah, right?
you know them so well. So, and we all have our favorites. And when you see one of your favorites go on and perform and do well, or one that you loved, it certainly makes it. It's a special feeling. It's not just like watching a horse race. And I don't
No.
know. I was talking with a friend yesterday. I don't know that someone in any other industry gets to experience those heart palpitations or those highs as a result of their work. So
Yeah.
quote unquote work. So look, we're obviously very fortunate to work in an industry that we love. But as you say, just the horses just add that layer or that texture to what we do, that just make it so dynamic and brings new experiences year on year. And as you know, no 2 years are the same, and it certainly applies to watching the horses race on the track.
And as a fellow parent, I mean, the other thing that's cool is watching your child grow along with these different crops. You can almost harken back like, oh yeah, the year she was born, this horse won the dirt. You kind of mark time by who won what race in a given year.
Exactly. And watching your kids pick out what favorite color they like, or cheering with you,
Yeah.
or sometimes hearing you scream louder than you should. It's like, it's just part of it. Oh, it's a Saturday, daddy's shouting at the TV again. So yeah, look, it's part of it. Funny anecdote, I was buckling my son into his car seat, and he picked up a sales catalog and he pointed to the cover and he said, "Horsey Race, Daddy's favorite book." I said, "Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head." So
Oh my gosh.
they're watching and observing everything. So that kind of really hit home. But yeah, as you say, it's pretty neat to have them, be around them. And my kids certainly have done their fair share of stallion shows. So at a certain point, I might hand it over to them. But yeah, it's certainly neat to have them, be around and be involved as well.
No, I think it's wonderful. I got Ava one gift for Christmas because it was a little expensive. Got her because I know you got a real pony for the daughter, but we got her a fake one. But the ones that's on the rolly wheels, you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen these things?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, a pony cycle.
Yes.
Is that it? Yes. The
Yeah,
pony
yeah.
cycle. Oh my gosh.
So, but we got her a white unicorn one, and
Awesome.
she goes around the house on this thing, and she goes,
Oh.
"Yeehaw!" It cracks me up. I don't want her to be a jockey because I talk about heart palpitations, right? But it is fun to see her embrace that equestrian love anyway. And this has been so much fun. I love talking horses with you. You're always one of my, whenever I see you in passing, I love to pick your brain real quick about pedigree and what's going on in the industry. And, before we wrap up here, is there anything you think that we should be keeping our eye on in terms of, because I use pedigree for betting purposes. Are you noticing any trends? You like to wager too, right?
Oh, occasionally.
Occasionally. Okay. So is there anything you're noticing, or, horses really standing out? I mean, we already talked about a couple different nicks. Is there anything foal wise that you have mares expecting on the farm that are high profile that we should look forward to their babies being foaled, or anything?
I don't really have, like, from our own horses. I don't have any generalizations or insights or betting tips. Honestly, for me, a lot of it is built about 30 seconds before they're going in the gate. So you're kind of assimilating all the information right up until that point, and at the last second the horse speaks to you, and then it's a race to try and get the bet on before the gates open. But yeah, I wouldn't say, I'm certainly not that sophisticated a handicapper that I have any rules or mantras that I follow. So you'd be better off following someone else's advice on that front. But pedigrees may be betting. I don't know about me, but anyway. Yeah, I certainly enjoy it, and it's hard not to be around them and assess all like we do without at least having a few dollars down. So it's definitely a fun part of it.
Well, we are so happy for you. Again, congratulations to the whole team. Godolphin, Darley. You know what? I should just really quick say the distinction, because I never did mention that. Godolphin's the racing operation, whereas Darley is the breeding operation. Is that the
exactly? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Godolphin is the parent company, and obviously the Darley Stallions are a subsidiary or a branch. So we still have the Darley name attached to the stallions, but Godolphin is the parent company as such.
And And so we have a lot to look forward to, not only side, but from the breeding side as well. Big congratulations on Essential Quality being named Eclipse Champion Juvenile Colt, and Bequest, a daughter of your sire Nyquist, being named Eclipse Champion Juvenile Filly. That's huge.
Well, thank you so much.
And-
Thank you so much, Ryan. Really appreciate you inviting me on, and asking great questions as always. And just
Sometimes I
was
get tongue
fun.
tied because there's so much going in my mind of like, oh, I could ask this or I could say this. But yeah, we're gonna be looking forward to seeing if, I know the road is long, but how cool would it be? I mean, you got the Eclipse double. It's not beyond the realm of possibility to get the Derby Oaks double.
Phew, now you're talking. Look, I think we'll take it one race at a time. If Anthony horses teach you that, not to get too far
Humbleness,
ahead,
right?
not to get too far ahead. But look, hey, you can dream, right?
You got to. It all starts with an idea and then a hope. And that's what I always say. Before a horse ever carries its rider, it carries hope. So we'll keep those hopes alive and be looking forward to these horses running, and also, of course, Maxfield. And again, thank you so much for your time, Darren. Darren, he's right there at Godolphin at John and Bell Farm, home of the Darley Stallions. And if you're looking for, a stallion, check out the roster because it is solid.
Thank you, Ren.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later, Darren, and everybody else. You have a great afternoon, and I'll be here next Friday, hopefully, and we'll figure out. I haven't decided who's going to be the guest yet, but we'll keep this Future Stars Friday forecast rolling on into 2021. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.